Very good. So page 144 in your course pack talks about how to set up a text style for isometric text using those obliquing angles that we talked about. And here's that example we just saw on the screen of correct oblique angle and correct rotation to make things look the way you want them to look. There is some information about adding a custom viewport scale to your drawing, but we don't need that on this assignment. So we're going to hold off on this until about week 10. And then we're going to make our drawing assignment of isometric parts. So we're going to draw three things in isometric. Now, the things you're going to draw are things you're very familiar with. In fact, they are drawings A, B, and C. First time we drew them in orthogonal projection, orthographic, engineering views. This time what we want to do is we want to take these and then turn them into isometric drawings. So how are we going to do that? Well, start off maybe with some graph paper from printfreegraphpaper.com. Print out a couple of sheets and try to sketch out what you think this object is going to look like, right? Because if you have an idea before you start drawing in CAD, you're going to be way more successful than if you go in blind, right? So how could we set this up? We'll set up a block. Set up a wide block that's about half as deep as it is wide. A little height. And then looking at the front of the block, you're going to want to carve out this little groove all the way through. And then in the center of the flat area, we're going to want to add a circle, right? And that circle represents a hole, except now it's going to be an ellipse. On drawing B, a little bit trickier. Think of this as two separate objects. Think of this as one object, right, on this side. And think of this part as a separate object. Now they're touching each other, but when you lay them out in isometric, try to sketch them as if they were two different things side by side touching. Okay, and again, working on graph paper is going to make this a lot easier for you if you don't see it in your brain what we're trying to accomplish here. And then C, this guy. Now this is not as tough as it looks. Okay, we make a big block, and on the right side we'll add this shape, and then we'll use these measurements and sizes to create the rest of it. So ultimately, what are we looking at? Well, we're going to start a brand new drawing file using your template, and then we're going to draw out the three isometric drawings. Okay, and I realize I'm giving you the answer by letting you see them, but hey, there's not a lot we can do here, honestly. I mean, we're just doing the best we can. Now I've added some center marks, but you know what? Leave them off on your drawing. You don't need the center marks. Okay, right? We're trying to make this simple for non-technical people. So draw the three different isometric views for the three different objects. We'll get on to the layout. In the layout, make sure you've got a viewport. Arrange your viewport the way you want. Maybe you need to move your models around, your drawing around over in model space a little bit to get it where you want. Set the viewport scale 1:1. Lock the viewport. And we go down here. There are no dimensions required, just information on the name of the drawing and who you are and all that other good stuff, right? So this is our finished drawing, what we're looking for at the end for those three isometric drawings. This is drawing 9A. Okay, now I had a couple of people asking me about some extra credit work. I don't mind giving out a little bit of extra credit if it gives you some extra practice. So I'm going to make something available for you. Once you complete this drawing, and of course the instructions for this drawing are all on page 148. If you would like to do something a little extra, there's an opportunity for you to draw an isometric construction detail. And again, it's nice to draw things that we're familiar with. So look, this is our footing detail, isn't it? If you would like to create an isometric drawing of it, like I did here, then go for it, right? It's no more difficult really than drawing mechanical objects, and it's a lot more clear sometimes to people when they can see things drawn in a 3D representation. So there's a sample of what it might look like when it's done. The hatch is not important. Here is concrete hatch, there is sand hatch, but you can get artistic and creative with hatch on this if you want to show wood grain or stucco or sand and earth and things like that. I think this one's grass out here. I've got a finished sample of one here. We'll take a look at it. All right, so we got a little bit of sand out on the stucco and a little denser sand here on top of the concrete. Rebar is sticking out. Got little rings on it like rebar really does. Yeah, and I think that is grass. That's the grass hatch. Grass. All right. So if you'd like to do a little bit of extra credit work, I'm going to make these available for you so that you can upload that. And if you're thinking, hey, I didn't do very good on the midterm, I don't think, I'd like to put a few points in the bank, well, this would be a good way to do that. So over on Canvas under week 9, you've already seen the lecture material for our first 4 videos. I'm going to make the other videos available over here. And next week, we'll have some materials uploaded so that we can start working in 3D. And I know a lot of people get excited when we start working in 3D. Makes sense. The whole world around us is 3D. We interact with 3D objects all the time and every day. There's some cool stuff we can do with 3D objects that are modeled in AutoCAD. So plug on through these isometric drawings, and the next week we begin our unit on 3D.